I've gained some bad habits in the last year. One of them is typically on the way to a speech, I write it on a napkin on an airplane. One of those little cocktail napkins. I want you to know that I've graduated. Now I'm using these little sticky notes. So it's a lot better. As I walked up here today, this is also a little unnerving because when I look down in the crowd here, the first row, you know, I've got my high school English teacher sitting there. And that's a little bit unnerving for a guy, even if he is almost the same age as he is. But he was a child's teacher there. It's an honor and a privilege to have served as NCBA's president for this year. And I've had the opportunity to walk around and be on ranches and farms virtually all over the world and see lots of different ways of doing business. And as I've traveled, I've noticed that there's a great number of communities out there that really typify communities and areas and regions of the country. And I think none of them typify more likely than where we are today here in Colorado. I think it's a wonderful place to be. You've got cow-calf producers down in La Junta. You've got feed yards up in Yuma. You've got a packer up here in Greeley. You know, and then you get all the way up into Gunnison, you know, where we've got high mountain ranges, you know, and a lot of public lands up there. That embodies the entire beef industry. And I think it's a great testament to us to showcase for agriculture, which is the shining star of our economy, and the beef industry, that's the sparkle that's in that shining star. I think that's a testament to all of us here. A lot of times they tell me that my greatest attribute when I'm speaking is the fact that I tell stories. And so I can't help myself either. That's kind of the way I am. So I wanted to mention to you one of these deals. They give me a podium and they give me a mic, but I tend to wander about quite a little bit. And so I get off the deal, and the further I get away from my notes, the more comfortable I get. I found that out. But at home, when we're doing this, part of the deal being NCBA president is not only do you come to these meetings and talk to folks and do all that kind of stuff, but you also spend a lot of time at home on these conference calls. So I got real technologically savvy, and I bought one of them headsets that comes around that makes me look like a rock star. It's got a microphone, you know, that's around here in the deal. And when I talk on that thing, I wander around the house. We've got a house that's got a kitchen and a living room, the same deal, you know, and you got an opportunity to move around quite a little bit. And I can remember a conference call, Forrest and I were on it, and I'm walking around in the kitchen, and it was one of those conference calls where I had issues. And I got to, and you know, see, I'm a guy that likes to eat. And part of the deal is the way I deal with stress is I eat a lot, you know, and I get nervous. And when I get nervous, I get to walking around, you know, and then I'm looking for a snack. And I've been back and forth in the kitchen. And Linda was in the kitchen. She's baking cookies. And every time I'd go by, and the madder I got at Forrest, the more I wanted to eat. And about the third pass through the kitchen, here she was, just like this. And that little old woman, she's 100 and plus some pounds, hit me like a linebacker. She said, "Enough! We won't have any for Christmas." And I think that was kind of the deal. So I kind of figured out that, okay, now I need to relax. And I've been able to do that a little bit better ever since that. This has been a real year of conflict, so we've had the opportunity to have quite a few of those calls. We've had some that were very tense, and we've worked through an awful lot of controversy. You know, our industry has faced unprecedented government overreach. I don't believe ever before did we see our government, you know, trying to get in our business as much. And at the same time, it was accompanied by a great group of other industry groups that could continue to ramble on against NCBA. We had to fight through that. The problem is that those other groups, they didn't really offer anything. Most of the time it was criticism, but they didn't bring forth, you know, any positive statements or anything to really help the industry move forward. We had regulation after regulation, jargon after jargon to deal with. You know, but NCBA didn't waver. We didn't waver to the critics or this administration. We dealt with those regulatory roller coaster ride in the most positive way that we could do. We buckled down and got to work and ended up with quite a few wins for the U.S. cattle industry. Folks, you guys stood tall in the saddle. You worked with NCBA. You got on those phones. You sent in countless accounts of your own personal operations and talk to legislators. You did a great job of doing what you needed to do to defend this industry. This outfit's been around since 1898. From 1898 to 2010, NCBA is there fighting the fight for the American cattleman. We were there yesterday, we're there today, we'll be there tomorrow. Your role this week is pivotal to why we're here. We've got work to do. This industry has problems to solve, and you folks are going to play a pivotal role in that. If you have ideas to share, share them. If you don't like a policy, change it. It's your organization. It's your responsibility to rise to the challenge to make this outfit better and better and continue to move this industry forward. I get a little dry once in a while. We've got a great, great inspirational speaker. He's going to come up here. He's going to tell a story in a little bit. I've seen bits and pieces of it. Nobody wants to leave because it's going to be really good. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time working that angle. I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that we've done this year and the things that we've accomplished. You know, for 20 years, 25 years, we've been working on getting beef a nutritional label, getting a label put on it so we could put it in a store and tell consumers what it is that we're doing. You know, we've talked to each other at these meetings. We've talked to each other at these meetings. We've talked to each other at these meetings about how good an idea that would be. But we had a heck of a time getting that done. This nutritional labeling deal is a perfect example of where you have to have your checkoff dollars putting together the sound science and the research to drive home an idea and the policy division to go to Washington, D.C. and make it a reality. We got that done. 25 years later, we got that done. That's a huge, huge win. I want to talk about nutritional guidelines. Anybody hear about that? They came out on Monday. Did anybody hear much about it? Some, not too many. That's one of the challenges that we have is in this outfit. A lot of times what you don't hear says we did a job and we did it right. I think this is one of those perfect examples of that. There was a part in those nutritional guidelines that talked about moving Americans to a plant-based diet. I'm not sure about you, but that wasn't going to work for me. We got that taken out. We're pretty broad in our diversity. A lot of, in our age groups in here, there's a lot of us here that knew who Paul Harvey was. Everybody knew who Paul, I'm going to tell you, all of us that got gray hair know who Paul Harvey was. He's the guy that had the radio show, you know, and then he said, and now the rest of the story. Okay, well, here's the rest of the story for the nutritional guidelines. And I can tell this story because not only am I a beef producer, I'm also a fish farmer. I know it's hard to imagine, but I am. And since that I am, I get to talk about it because I can disparage everybody equally, okay? I have an issue with this deal because when I read the guidelines and I saw what they did and what they came out on Monday, you know, they didn't treat us too bad. They really did a good job. I thought we had done a good job. Our people had done a great job of telling it. But one of the things that they said in that nutritional guideline deal was that they wanted to increase the amount of fish you had as a substitute for red meat. Now, as a cattle producer and a farmer, and a fish farmer, I have an issue with that. And here's why. This is a government health deal, okay? Now explain to me how it is that you can take a really good, lean piece of beef off of the plate and put fish on there when we all know the only way fish are good is if they're deep fat fried and surrounded by French fries and hush puppies. Somebody's got to help me with that. On a more serious note, we had some issues over at USDA in one of the branches. Dudley Do-Right has done nothing but wrong. And that's been an issue for us, and we fought with him pretty hard, and I think we put together what I consider to probably be one of the greatest informational programs that we've ever done to NCBA to get the information out about how this was going to affect us. We worked really hard at it. Now, this deal's not done. It's by no means done. There were 60,000 comments set in about this gypsum rule deal. 60,000. 8,000 of them you actually wrote. They weren't just form letters. There was 8,000 of them, and they're going to look those things over. But we may not be done here. And we're not going to be done. And what we did accomplish there is that we convinced the Secretary that he needed to do what we asked him to do from the get-go, and that was do a legitimate, real economic analysis of that program. And we're in the process of doing that right now. They're going to go through that. This is going to take some time. Then they're going to come back and do a set of rules. But I'm here to explain to you that if those rules are not proper, I'm going to pass the hat. And as much as I distaste doing this, we're going to court. We're not going to let these rules step in and turn back the clock on this industry 50 years. Let's talk about one of my favorite topics. My kids tell me that I should maybe back up just a little bit because we are a CAFO by any definition known to man. Me and the EPA can't see eye on hardly anything. You know, the overreach that we've got going on over there is just unbelievable. The administrator over there, Lisa Jackson, is really, has the animal agriculture folks in her sights. No question about it. I mean, that's where she's at. EPA has enacted 1,500 regulations in the last year. 1,500. Can you imagine how much paper it took to put that in place? Fortunately, in November, you know, we got a little reprieve, you know, at the elections there. We've got a House of Representatives now that's a little bit different, and I think we can rein them in. We also had the president step out, and he said, you know, I think we need to have a look at these regulations. That's a good idea. Now, you write this down. We're going to hold him to his word. You do what you say. And if he doesn't do what he says, we're going to be all over him. We've been pretty tough on him for the summer, and this is going to be one of those places where we absolutely have to hold tight and stay with him because this industry deserves far better than what we've been getting. One of the wins that we got, this is a great one. I love to talk about this, the death tax. You know, we worked on that thing for 25 years. I see several past presidents. I know that it was one of the things on their docket every year we've been doing this deal. This death tax thing, it's a killer. My kids, you know, are home, you know, today fighting the snow, trying to make a payment, you know, on a place, and when I die, they could pay for it again. That doesn't make a darn bit of sense. I've told people, everybody I can run into in Washington, D.C., up and down the street, and I think we made some effect. I think we got somewhere there. We got a 2-year deal. We got a 2-year window where everybody has an opportunity to get their estates in order, and at the very least, we've put a stake in the ground and said, now we go from here to total repeal. That's what we're after. We've got a stake in the ground, and what a big win. And our staff in D.C., I was out there when they were fighting that fight. Unbelievable what those folks got done. They worked day and night to accomplish it, and we need to give them a round of applause for doing that. A lot of, I talked about this a year ago a little bit. I thought I'd maybe someday get to the White House. It ain't going to happen. And I thought my only hope was probably in the area of trade. I thought, well, there's a shot there. Korea, China, something could trip out. You know, maybe I'd get to go to a signing or something like that. Didn't happen. But we got pretty close. We really got pretty close. We are close. You know, we're really close on Chorus. Chorus is the Korean outfit. You know, we talked about this quite a little bit. Last summer, I'll tell you a little story. Last summer, I'd hammered pretty hard on the administration. I've got a guy that writes for me in D.C. that's pretty brutal, and he signs my name to it. So sometimes I got to back up what he says. But we were pretty tough on it, and one of the deputy trade ambassadors wanted to have a conversation with me about it. So at our summer meeting, we were set up to have dinner one night, and we couldn't pull that off. So the next morning we got there, and so we're sitting there and we're talking through this, and he was pretty tough on me about the fact that you know, we'd been more than unpleasant with the administration. Well, part of the deal is the night before that, I'd gone down to the ball game. We'd gone down here, and that was the night that the Cubs got shellacked like 1-0 to nothing, and they scored the most runs ever with 2 outs. It was like 17. I mean, there was balls flying all over. And that evening, I had taken my friend Travis Tays, who's the president of the Canadian Cattlemen's Group, and he was sitting there, and we're good friends, and I was giving him a hard time. I said, hey, Travis, this is great. And this guy lives up in the Arctic Circle. He doesn't do anything but fish and chase bears. That's his deal. And so we're talking. I said, isn't this great? You come to America, have the opportunity to go to a ball game like this, historic ball game, and not one to take any, you know, guff from me. He said, Well, yes, that's great. You have baseball, but we have China. And I thought, oh, man, he really stuck it in between my ribs. Well, I was sharing this same story with Ambassador Siddiqui. We're talking about that. And I said, man, here's the deal. You're my team. You guys got to go out. I don't want to take any more crap off of the Canadians. You got to do something for me. Okay. He said, we're going to get some of this done. Give us a chance. So here we are. This fall here, I'm sitting out at the ranch there one day. I'm putting in a water tank, and I'm going to be there all day long. About 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I got a call on my cell phone, and it was from unknown. Normally, I don't answer unknown, because unknown is either a telemarketer or it's a reporter. Sorry, folks, some of those of you that are reporters. But I typically don't pick up that phone. I did this day. Well, guess who it is? It's E.C. Siddiqui. I'm going, wow, this is a guy from the White House. So I'm talking to him. He said, here's the deal. We're in Korea. The president just landed. We're going over there. We are going to hammer forward, and we're going to get this beef done today. We're going to have it done yet tonight. He said, here's my question for you. It's going to be 2 a.m. your time when we're sitting here in Korea closing this deal. Do you want me to call you at 2 a.m. and let you know, or would you just as soon I waited until tomorrow morning? I said, man, I'll tell you what. You call me at 2 a.m. I'll put my cell phone on the headboard of the bed. If you get this deal done, I will pick up the phone and we will have a press release in the Wall Street Journal in the morning when you wake up. Okay, that's great. All right, so I'm still out there working on the water tank. About 8 o'clock that evening, phone rings again, unknown. So I pick it up. Yeah, this is E.C. Siddiqui. You can go to bed. It ain't going to happen. Great guy. I said, all right, look, I appreciate you calling. You know, we're not going to write anything about this. I know you guys. I've talked to you. I know you're working hard to get this done. All I can ask is you continue to work and get that done. And when we close this deal, we will treat you really, really right. And we're getting mighty close. We're going to get this Korea thing done. The president stepped out, and we're about to close a deal on it. And I think that's a wonderful testament, the fact that we've worked so hard, and we're going to get that done. We're going to get a market open, and that will be a step for other markets as well. Probably the most challenging thing that we dealt with this year was this audit business. And I think we should address it. We should get it right out on the table. Let's talk about it. We've seen it. Everybody's seen it. Anybody hasn't seen it? I don't see any hands going up. This audit business took a lot of time, took a lot of energy out of this industry, put an awful lot of questions in producers' minds all across the country. This audit deal's done. You know, we got together, we figured it out, we put that thing to bed. At this meeting, I want this to be off everybody's mind because it's not an issue anymore. We got together as cowboys and we finished the deal. We got it put to bed. We've got the deliverables back from AMS. Everything's good. It's over and it's done with. We're not going there anymore. We're moving on. We've got better things to do in this industry than fight about it, and we need to move on towards that. There's a little bit of fallout from this audit. And I would be extremely remiss if I did not mention it and bring it up, because I'm going to try to straighten this out right here and now. Forrest Roberts is an honest man. There are those out in the country, and probably some in this very room, that have tried to paint Forrest as dishonest and a liar. I'm here to tell you there is nothing that's farther than the truth. I'm not buying a bit of it. I've had the pleasure to get to know this guy. If he has a flaw, and he does, and this is it, he's so transparent and so honest that people take advantage of that. I can't tell you enough. It really irritates me that we've got folks that would stoop to that level to force an issue that they think is just. It is not just, and we have better things to do with our energy than put it in towards defaming a guy who I consider to be a friend, and also a guy who I think has the most integrity of anybody I ever met. You know, there's been a lot of negativity out there. If I could just harness the energy from these ever-neighing nags of negativism. Everybody repeat that. That's really hard to do. I've practiced a lot. Ever neighing nags of negativism. Think of what we could accomplish if we could all get together, all of us, and pull together in the same place. We've got to get to that point, folks. This doesn't accomplish anything for us to, as Robbie LaValle said up at the hearing up there, we're so doggone guilty of circling wagons and shooting inward. We are the inward people. This week we've got opportunities. We've got opportunities to stand tall and get serious about this industry. You know, the class of people that I've had the opportunity to be with as I've traveled around the country all summer, it's phenomenal. They're sick of the class clown, sitting in the back of the room, making jokes, throwing spitwads at the board. We've got to get past that. We've got to put our differences beside us, figure out that there are a few things that we can't agree on, and just agree to disagree and move on. If we could ever get to that point, think what we could accomplish in this industry. We've got markets that are in places that are phenomenal, phenomenal. But if we screw around with each other, mess around with how we deal with one another, we will have that opportunity pass us by, and that would be a terrible shame. The next day or two, you're going to have an opportunity to go to committee meetings. You're going to have an opportunity to move this industry forward. I hope that you can all join me, unite. Let's put together a plan that we can get behind, and let's move towards it and move this industry down the road. Thank you very much.